The Neo-Assyrian Empire, 911 to 609 BCE. The Aztec Empire, 1428 to 1521 CE. The Mongol Empire, 1206 to 1368 CE. And the Roman Empire, 27 BCE to 476 CE. Let's start with the first one. Long before Rome, the Assyrians perfected something darker than war: psychological terror. They didn't just want to defeat their enemies. They wanted every neighboring city to hear what happened and surrender without a fight. Enemy commanders who resisted were flayed alive, their skin peeled from their bodies while they still breathed, then hung on the city walls for every visiting envoy to see. Mass beheadings followed every siege, heads piled into pyramids outside conquered cities as a warning display. Prisoners had their noses, ears, and lips cut off before being paraded through the streets. Some captives were burned alive in public squares as part of royal victory celebrations. Entire populations were forcibly deported hundreds of miles from their homeland to break their identity and resistance. Assyrian kings themselves boasted about this in royal inscriptions, making pyramids of skulls, drenching the mountains with blood. This wasn't hidden. It was propaganda. The Assyrians ruled through fear for 3 centuries, 911 BCE to 609 BCE. Halfway across the world, another empire was killing for a completely different reason: faith. Aztec priests believed the sun itself would die without human blood. A victim was held down on the altar, and a priest cut into the chest with an obsidian blade, cutting out the still-beating heart and raising it toward the sky as an offering. During the dedication of the Great Temple in 1487, chronicled accounts describe thousands of captives sacrificed one after another over several days. Some victims were flayed after death, and priests wore their skin for ritual dances lasting up to 20 days, symbolizing renewal and rebirth. Child sacrifice was practiced to honor the rain god Tlaloc. Their tears were believed to bring rainfall. Captured warriors were sometimes forced into staged, unwinnable combat, tied to a stone, given a weak decorative weapon, and made to fight fully armed warriors before being sacrificed regardless of the outcome. This wasn't seen as murder. In their worldview, it was an honor, a way to repay the gods for the gift of existence. The Aztecs killed to keep their universe alive. By the 13th century, the Mongols had built the largest connected land empire in history. Their method wasn't ritual, it was arithmetic. Cities that surrendered were often spared. Cities that resisted were made an example of. Entire populations, sometimes hundreds of thousands, wiped from the map in days. After the siege of Baghdad in 1258, estimates range from 200,000 to over 1 million killed in a matter of days. Some cities were erased completely. Populations killed down to the last person. Structures torn down. The ground salted or flooded, so nothing could ever be rebuilt there. Captured citizens were sometimes used as human shields, forced to march in front of the army during the next siege. Enemy messengers were returned with molten silver poured into their eyes and ears as a warning to other kingdoms. Genghis Khan understood something the Assyrians had discovered 1,000 years earlier. Word travels faster than an army. Terror worked. It built the largest empire the world had ever seen. But not every brutal civilization killed to conquer. Some killed as public entertainment. Public execution in Rome was delivered to tens of thousands of spectators at once. Crucifixion victims could take days to die, and bodies were deliberately left on crosses along public roads as a long-term warning. After defeating Spartacus's slave rebellion in 71 BCE, Rome crucified 6,000 captured rebels along the Appian Way, one every few dozen meters, stretching over 100 miles. Condemned prisoners were thrown into arenas to be torn apart by lions and bears as public entertainment. Gladiator fights were less about justice and more about spectacle. If the crowd signaled for death, the loser's throat was cut on the spot while thousands watched and cheered. So, 4 empires, 4 different reasons for brutality. The Assyrians used fear as a weapon. The Aztecs saw it as sacred duty. The Mongols used it to conquer a continent. And Rome turned it into public spectacle. Different methods, same result. Power built on fear. So tell me, which one do you think truly earned the title of history's most brutal civilization? Drop your answer in the comments, and if this kind of history hits different, subscribe. There's more where this came from.